So this is from Aubrey Burl's A Guide to the Stone Circles of Britain, Ireland and Brittany. And this is what he has to say about Callanish. This site, important for its grandeur, its design and its astronomy, is a complex, like a buckled Celtic cross, of a diminutive stone circle, a central stone, an avenue, 3 rows and a chambered tomb. Almost certainly the monument was of several phases. The writer favours a sequence of a standing stone followed by a stone circle to which the avenue and rows were added, because it is known to have been built on material upcast from the circle's stone holes. The chambered tomb has been proved to be the final addition several centuries later. It is noteworthy that there is hardly any native architecture in either the circle or the tomb. Outside influences are probable. The circle stands conspicuously on a ridge overlooking the waters of Loch Rogue. It was erected on land that had been farmed by earlier agriculturists. 3/4 of a mile east-south-east are 2 other circles, Loch Rogue and Knock Philibrea. 2 miles to the south is a third, Ken Hallavig, near Garrynin. The marked individuality of their architecture has been obscured by attempts to rename them Callanish 2, 3 and 4, after the so-called main ring. Callanish itself, in passing, Loch Rogue is too general a term to be applied to one unobtrusive ring. East and west Loch Rogues cover miles of water. The ring stands on Connacht Can Carrick, and this name, suggested by the Pontins, but here shortened to Connacht Canen, has been substituted. Callanish and its central stone are uneasy partners. The pillar is almost 3 foot west of the true centre. It is plain card in shape, 15 foot 9 inches high, 5 foot wide and about a foot thick. Its long faces are aligned almost perfectly north-south. Shaped like the rudder of a ship, it weighs about 7 tons and could comfortably have been set upright by a gang of 30 workers. The ring, which has been casually described as a circle 37 foot 4 inches in diameter, has also been analysed as a Type A tom ring flattened on its east, 43 foot 10 inches north-south by 39 foot 3 inches. Its long axis conforms approximately to 16 of Tom's megalithic yards. As no attempt had been made to level the site, such niceties of mensuration are unlikely. An accurate plan was made by the Department of Geography, Glasgow University in 1974. It is probable that the ring is an ellipse like the 3 others in the locality and like the larger ones on north-east. It measures 43 feet 10 inches south-southwest, north-northeast by 38 foot 9 inches. With 13 stones averaging 10 foot in height, it is an imposing spectacle. It was less impressive until 1857, when an excavation removed 5 foot of Iron Age peat from the bottom of the pillars. Imposing though it may be, it is also cramped. With an internal area of only 1,334 square foot, it is the 3rd smallest of its group, only the distance Kenin Hallavig being less. Knock Cian is 2.5 times its size. The gigantic ellipses on north-east exceed them all, with an average area of 11,624 square feet. They are over 6 times as spacious as those around Loch Rogue. Leading to the circle from the north-northeast, the avenue, 273 foot long, is an imposing structure of thin, graceful stones, once 39 in number but now 19, 9 on the east side, 10 on the west, where at the far end it culminates in a tall pillar, 11 foot 7 inches high. Both terminals are high and heavy and set at right angles to their rows like blocking stones. The avenue is not parallel but fan-like, contracting from 22 foot wide at the north-northeast to 19 foot 7 inches against the ring. Its stones of Lewisian gneiss may have come from a cliff at Nar Dromanan a mile away, With an azimuth of 190 degrees, the central line of the avenue was well aligned on the major setting of the southern moor. It may originally have been a short avenue. From the circle, the avenue stones steadily decrease in height, but halfway along they begin to rise, climbing like an addition to the tall terminals, the western having its broken tip replaced in 1978. The avenue also possesses an architectural trait, known elsewhere only in Northern Ireland and Brittany, of having one side higher than the other, the eastern being no more than 3/4 the height of the western. There is a legend that the stones of Callanish were brought in ships under the leadership of a high priest and erected by black men. Although the stones are local, it is a possibility that the avenue at least may have been planned and constructed by dark-haired Irishmen from the south. The discovery on Lewis and northeast of porcelainite axes from County Antrim shows that early links between the north of Ireland and the Outer Hebrides did exist. Shale from Skye also points to contacts with mainland Scotland. Callanish is not only an avenue to the north-northeast, but 3 short rows to the east-northeast, south and west-southwest. They are astronomically significant. The east-northeast now of 5 stones after its buried terminal was re-erected in 1982 is 76 foot long. It is thought to be aligned on the lovely cluster of stars, the Pleiades. The southern row, with an almost unbelievably precise north to south orientation, has 5 stones in a line 89 foot 3 inches long. The western row is shorter, only 42 foot 7 inches long, and of 4 stones. With an uneven western skyline, the row is neatly directed towards the equinoctial sunsets, which occur not at the west but the west-southwest. Diodorus Siculus, the 1st century BC Greek historian, may have referred to these rows. Mentioning a spherical temple thought to be his vague idea of a stone circle, he wrote that in it the moon dances continuously the night through from the vernal equinox until the rising of the Pleiades. This temple has often been interpreted as Stonehenge, but that is an astronomical impossibility. The Wiltshire Ring is 500 miles too far south of the correct lunar latitude. If the spherical temple was not Callanish, it is a remarkable coincidence that it was only the moon, the equinox and the Pleiades that Diodorus mentioned. Callanish seems associated with all of them. The avenue was directed towards the southern moonset. The western row was orientated on the equinoctial sunset. Although other stars are feasible targets, the eastern row could have been aligned on the Pleiades around 1550 BC, the third of the heavenly bodies named by Diodorus. It may be that the rows were the initial sides of intended short avenues. It is noticeable that not one is aligned on the centre of the ellipse. The east, with the tallest stones, points 6 foot to its south, and the south and west are 3 foot to its west and south respectively. Callanish may be yet another example of an abandoned prehistoric project, perhaps interrupted by the intrusion of the chambered tomb builders. Excavations in 1980 and 1981 recovering local Hebridean pottery, AOC and N4 beakers and grooved ware sherds suggest that the circle was erected in the early Bronze Age around 2200 BC. The avenue may have been an addition, the 3 rows perhaps even later. The puzzle is the tiny chambered tomb, only 21 foot across, that was squashed in between the eastern stones and the central pillar. In it, cremated bone and late beaker sherds may have belonged to the centuries around 1700 BC. The tomb was desecrated by later farmers, then partly rebuilt before its final abandonment as peat began to form over the countryside early in the 1st millennium BC. What is puzzling is that the tomb has no resemblance either to local forms or to others in western and southwestern Scotland. The nearest in likeness are 2 similarly small tombs, Neve Hill, 5 foot across, and Hona Hill, the Walt 32 foot, 150 distant miles by sea to the east-northeast on South Ronaldsay in the Orkneys. There are legends that the stones are giants petrified for refusing to embrace Christianity, and that the ring has powers of fecundity. As late as the 19th century, natives would go there because it would not do to neglect the stones. With the advent of an exhibition centre, they will be less neglected still. So that was by Aubrey Burl in his Guide to the Stone Circles of Britain, Ireland and Brittany.